Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, that brings forgotten coins back into the spotlight. Today, we're taking a closer look at a coin you've probably passed by hundreds of times without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of those old nickels in your pocket change could be worth a small fortune? That's right. Today, we're unlocking the hidden secrets of the 1975 Jefferson nickel, with a mint mark. It may look ordinary, even dull to the untrained eye. But within this 5-cent coin lies a mystery, a little-known world of value, rarity, and history that could make one single nickel worth more than most people's annual salary. So grab your coin jars and get ready, because by the end of this video, you might just be racing to check your change drawer. Let's begin. The year is 1975. America is in a period of transformation. Vietnam is coming to an end, the country is grappling with political scandal, and disco is rising fast on the charts. Amid all this chaos and cultural shift, the U.S. Mint is doing what it does best, producing coins for everyday use. One of those coins? The Jefferson nickel. This 5-cent piece has been a part of American life since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin honors Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and a man whose legacy shaped the very foundations of the nation. But even as millions of these coins were made in 1975, only a select few have become the target of collectors, investors, and auction houses. And that's what makes this story so special. Let's take a closer look at the coin itself. On the obverse, or front, you'll see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. His features are stern and thoughtful, with the words, "In God We Trust," to the left and "Liberty," and the year 1975 to the right. Just beside the year, you'll notice a small letter, D, for the Denver Mint, or an S for San Francisco. If there's no letter, it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Now flip the coin over, and you'll see the Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate. It's elegantly illustrated with the words E pluribus unum above and Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America below. It's a simple design, but one packed with symbolism and historical significance. And for collectors, it's a familiar face, but that doesn't mean it's boring. Far from it. Now, you might be wondering, how could a coin that was mass-produced and still turns up in your spare change be worth anything? Well, that's where the fun begins. First, let's talk about minting errors. These are the golden ticket in the world of coin collecting. In 1975, like many years, some nickels were struck with subtle, or sometimes dramatic, mistakes. And it's these imperfections that can make a seemingly ordinary coin extraordinary. Some examples include double die errors, where the design appears twice, slightly shifted. You might see this in the date, the letters in Liberty, or even Jefferson's face. Then there are off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was struck out of alignment. And don't forget about die cracks, repunched mint marks, or even rare planchet flaws, where the metal itself was defective. These errors are incredibly rare, but when they do show up, especially in coins that were never circulated and remain in mint state condition, the value skyrockets. Now here's something you may not know: while 1975 Jefferson nickels were produced by the millions, very few were preserved in flawless condition. Coins graded MS 65 or higher, that's mint state, with a score on the Sheldon scale of up to 70, are rare. Most nickels from this time are scratched, worn down, or dull from decades of use, but find one that was saved from the beginning, no circulation, no handling, no damage, and you're looking at a coin that's already worth far more than 5 cents. Combine that pristine condition with a rare mint mark or an error, and suddenly you're in the realm of serious money. And here's something else to keep in mind: proof coins minted in San Francisco. While proof nickels are usually sold in special sets, some make it into circulation. These coins have a shiny, mirror-like surface and are struck multiple times for extra detail. A proof 1975 Jefferson nickel with a minting error? That's collector gold. So now you might be asking, what should I be looking for? First, check the condition. Is your 1975 nickel shiny, sharp, and free from scratches? That's step 1. Then, inspect the mint mark. Is it clean, or does it look like it's been stamped more than once? Look closely at the lettering. any doubling, weird spacing, or distortion. These could be signs of a valuable error, and if you spot something unusual or you think you might have something rare, don't guess, get it graded. Professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC can certify the coin and assign a grade that determines its market value. A graded coin, especially one certified as a rare error or high mint state, can easily turn heads at coin shows and online auctions. Now, here comes the moment you've been waiting for. Out of all the 1975 Jefferson nickels ever produced, one rare and exceptional specimen stunned the coin collecting world. This particular coin featured a visible mint error, was preserved in pristine condition, and was authenticated and graded by experts, and when it finally hit the auction block, bids came in fast and fierce. Collectors knew what they were seeing. This wasn't just a coin, it was a piece of American minting history, and a one-of-a-kind survivor from a forgotten year, and when the final bid was placed, the hammer dropped at an incredible $90,300. Yes, you heard that right. A 5-cent coin, sold for $90,300. So what does this mean for you? It means that the next time you get change at the grocery store, you should give those nickels a second look. That dull coin hiding in your car's cup holder or at the bottom of your junk drawer could be worth more than you ever imagined. Check the date. Inspect the mint mark. Look for errors. And if you think you've got something special, don't keep it hidden, get it checked out. You could be sitting on your very own jackpot. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a coin that millions of people have handled, but only a few truly understand. The 1964 Jefferson nickel with a mint mark. It's the kind of coin you might see rolling around at the bottom of your glove compartment. You've probably spent one without even thinking. But hidden among these everyday nickels are a few extremely rare and valuable pieces, coins that, under the right conditions, have sold for amounts most people wouldn't believe, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and just how much a single 1964 nickel could actually be worth. Especially one in pristine condition with the right mint mark or a rare minting error. Let's get started. Let's rewind the clock to 1964. America was in the middle of a cultural and political transformation. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, the Beatles had just taken the country by storm, and President Lyndon B. Johnson had launched his war on poverty. Amidst all this change, the U.S. Mint was producing massive quantities of coins to meet the growing demand of a booming post-war economy, and at the center of that production line was the Jefferson nickel, a coin that had been a part of everyday American life since 1938. But 1964 was different. It marked the last year that the U.S. Mint placed dates on nickels for regular circulation for more than a decade. In 1965, because of a national coin shortage, the Mint stopped using mint marks altogether on nickels until 1968. So those 1964 nickels? They were the final chapter of an era, and that's just the beginning of what makes them interesting. Let's take a close look at the coin itself. On the front of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, you'll see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. Just behind his head are the words, "In God We Trust." To his left, Liberty, followed by the date, 1964. Now here's the detail you need to notice. Directly next to the date, you might see a small mint mark, a D for Denver. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. On the reverse side is Jefferson's home, Monticello, a neoclassical masterpiece tucked into the rolling hills of Virginia. Above it are the words, E pluribus unum. Below, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. It's a simple but elegant coin, one that's changed very little since its debut, but within this familiar design lies a world of hidden value. So how many were made? An incredible number. The U.S. Mint produced more 1964 Jefferson nickels than any other year up to that point. Over 1.7 billion nickels were minted in 1964, 1 billion from Philadelphia and over 1.7 billion from Denver. That's a lot of nickels. But don't let those numbers fool you, the sheer volume of production meant that quality control wasn't always perfect. And that, ironically, is what makes this year's nickel so intriguing to collectors today. Because when you're minting billions of coins, mistakes happen, and those mistakes can be worth a fortune. Now let's talk about the real reason collectors go crazy for some of these coins, minting errors. Imagine a coin where the die shifts ever so slightly, causing a double image of the date or letters. Or one that's struck off-center, with part of the design missing. Even more valuable are repunched mint marks, a second D slightly offset from the first, or coin struck on the wrong metal entirely, known as planchet errors, and then there's condition. Most 1964 nickels have been in circulation for decades. They've been in and out of pockets, tossed in drawers, rubbed smooth by time. But once in a while, one turns up that's been untouched, still gleaming as if it was just struck yesterday. These coins are referred to as mint state, and they're graded using the Sheldon scale, from MS 60 up to a perfect MS 70. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin, especially if it also includes a rare error or unique feature. Let's not forget about proof coins. Either.in 1964, proof Jefferson nickels were minted in San Francisco, but they weren't marked with an S. These coins were struck specifically for collectors and never meant for circulation. They have a shiny, mirror-like finish and exceptional detail. If you happen to have a proof 1964 nickel in perfect shape, especially with a rare error, then you're really onto something. So what should you be looking for? Start with the date, 1964. Check for a D mint mark, meaning it came from Denver. Inspect it under a magnifying glass. Look for signs of doubling in the letters or numbers, an off-center strike, or an oddly shaped or repunched mint mark. Is the coin extremely well preserved? Still shiny, with crisp detail on Jefferson's face and Monticello's steps? If so, that's your first clue you might be holding something extraordinary. If it seems promising, get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade not only confirms its authenticity, it gives your coin a market-recognized value. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. Among the billions of nickels produced in 1964, one particular coin surfaced that sent shockwaves through the coin-collecting world. It had all the right ingredients: a rare mint mark, an unusual minting error, and a condition so pristine it stunned even the most seasoned experts. After being professionally graded and authenticated, it eventually made its way to a major auction, where collectors knew exactly what they were looking at, and when the final bid came in, the total sale price was a staggering $100,400. Yes, you heard that right. 1 nickel, 5 cents, sold for $100,400. So, what's the lesson here? Don't overlook the change in your pocket. Don't toss that old nickel aside without checking the year, the mint mark, or its condition. Because what looks like ordinary pocket change might just be the key to an extraordinary payday. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a coin that most people overlook, toss in a jar, or pass off without a second glance: the 1985 Jefferson nickel with a mint mark. Yes, we're talking about a humble 5-cent piece, but before you assume this coin is just another common copper-nickel disc in your pocket, stay with me. Because what looks ordinary at first glance can sometimes turn out to be a hidden gem. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why a single 1985 nickel could be worth a jaw-dropping fortune. Let's get into it. The year is 1985. Ronald Reagan is in the White House. The Cold War is still alive, the Nintendo Entertainment System is hitting American shelves, and the world is changing fast. Meanwhile, at the US Mint, millions of coins are being struck to keep America's economy moving, and among them is the quiet workhorse of everyday change, the Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, created to honor Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The coin was designed by Felix Schlag, and although its core design stayed largely the same for decades, each year's minting can carry subtle variations, and sometimes, extraordinary mistakes. 1985 was no exception. Let's take a closer look at the coin. On the obverse, or front, you'll find the familiar left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. He's strong, stoic, and instantly recognizable. Along the edges are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1985. And right beside the date? A small letter. It might be a P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or in rare cases, something more unusual. On the reverse, you'll see Jefferson's legendary home, Monticello, with its iconic dome and columns, a structure that symbolizes both architecture and ideals. Above it is the phrase, e pluribus unum, and below, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. It's simple, it's historic, and it's timeless, but the real story of the 1985 Jefferson nickel is not in how it looks, but what's hidden in the tiniest details. You see, 1985 nickels were minted in large numbers. Over 900 million came from the Philadelphia Mint, and around 460 million from Denver. With numbers like that, it's easy to think they're all the same. But that couldn't be further from the truth, because among those hundreds of millions, a few rare nickels were struck differently, whether through minting errors, metal anomalies, or near-perfect preservation, and those are the coins that now sell for thousands. Let's talk about errors first. Point 1 of the most sought-after types is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the die, but slightly off position, causing a subtle doubling effect on the text or images, especially in the date, the words, Liberty, or the details of Monticello. Then there are off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank coin wasn't properly aligned when it was struck. And don't forget about die cracks, planchet flaws, or repunched mint marks, where the small d or p appears twice or slightly misaligned. These aren't just mistakes, they're collector gold. Now let's talk about condition. Coins that have been in circulation for decades almost always show signs of wear. They're scratched, dull, and worn down. But what if you found a 1985 nickel that had never been used? One that had been sitting in a collection, untouched, for nearly 40 years. Those are called mint state coins, and they're graded on the Sheldon scale from MS 60 to MS 70. A coin graded MS 65 or higher is considered gem quality and can command a serious premium. The perfect storm of a 1985 Jefferson nickel in mint state, combined with a mint error or rare die variety, is where things get exciting. So what should you look for? Start with the basics. Flip through your old change. Pull out your coin collection. Look for any 1985 nickels with sharp details, bright luster, and clean edges. Use a magnifying glass and check for double letters or numbers misaligned or doubled mint marks, partially missing designs, visible cracks or lines that shouldn't be there. If something looks off, or surprisingly perfect, it's time to consider sending it to a professional grading service like NGC or PCGS. These companies will assess, certify, and grade your coin, which adds serious credibility and value. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. In recent years, a rare and exceptional 1985 Jefferson nickel surfaced. It had a mint mark, was struck with a visible and unusual error, and was preserved in flawless mint state condition. This wasn't just another coin, it was a one-of-a-kind survivor. After being authenticated and graded by professionals, it was sent to auction. Collectors from around the country took notice. Bidding was intense. The coin's rarity and condition spoke louder than words ever could, and when the final gavel came down, the hammer price stunned everyone in the room. That single 5-cent piece sold for a breathtaking $91,200. Yes, you heard that right. A Jefferson nickel, from 1985, sold for $91,200. So, what does this mean for you? It means that the next time you're handed change at a store, or you open that old coin jar in the attic, take a second. Look, especially if you spot a 1985 nickel. Because what might seem like ordinary change could, in fact, be your hidden treasure. Today, we're stepping back into a powerful moment in history, World War II, and shining a light on a tiny piece of metal that carries a massive legacy. It's often passed by without a second glance, but it could be hiding in plain sight in your collection, your change jar, or even at the bottom of an old drawer. We're talking about the 1943 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin from the United States that holds far more value than you might imagine. But this isn't just a story about a coin. It's a story of war, scarcity, rare metals, hidden errors, and the hunt for a coin that, in the right condition, could change your life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this particular nickel is so special, and just how much it could be worth today. Let's begin our journey. The year is 1943. America is deep in the throes of World War II. Every aspect of daily life has been transformed by the war effort. Rationing, conservation, and resource management are the new normal. Factories are producing tanks instead of trucks. Steel is going into battleships instead of bicycles. Even the US Mint is making critical changes, and that's where our coin story begins. In 1942, the United States government made a bold decision to remove nickel from the 5-cent coin. Why? Because nickel was a strategic war metal, essential to manufacturing armor plating and weapons. So from 1942 to 1945, the US Mint introduced a special version of the Jefferson nickel, one that didn't contain any nickel at all. Instead, the 5-cent coins were made of a silver-colored alloy, 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. That's right, your nickel from this period might actually be part silver. These are known as wartime nickels, and 1943 is one of the key years in this special wartime series. Let's break down what makes the 1943 Jefferson nickel so fascinating. First, its appearance. On the obverse, the front, you'll see the classic image of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. On the reverse side is Monticello, Jefferson's stately Virginia estate. At first glance, it might seem like any other Jefferson nickel, but here's where it gets interesting. Unlike most nickels, wartime nickels have a large mint mark placed directly above Monticello on the reverse. That's right, instead of the small mint mark next to the date, 1943 nickels feature a bold P, D, or S above the building. That large mint mark isn't just a design choice, it's a signature of the silver alloy composition and a sign that you're looking at a wartime issue. So, what makes the 1943 Jefferson nickel valuable? 3 things: history, condition, and rarity, with a sprinkle of minting errors for good measure. First, the historical value is undeniable. These coins are products of a global conflict that reshaped the world. Every one of them tells a story, not just of currency, but of sacrifice, innovation, and resilience. Collectors love coins that capture a moment in time, and wartime nickels do exactly that. Second, condition. Most nickels from the 1940s have been heavily circulated. They've been through pockets, purses, cash registers, and who knows how many hands over 8 decades. But occasionally, you'll come across one that's been preserved, stored in a collection, untouched, gleaming with sharp detail. These are known as mint state coins, graded from MS-60 to MS-70. Now, a 1943 nickel in regular condition may be worth a few dollars. But one in mint state? That's when things start heating up. A third, and most exciting of all, errors and variants. Some 1943 nickels were struck with double dies, where the letters or numbers appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during minting. Others have repunched mint marks, or were struck on the wrong planchet entirely. Imagine a coin meant to be made of silver alloy ending up struck on a leftover copper nickel blank. That's collector gold. Then there's the elusive full steps designation. This refers to the detail on Monticello's staircase on the reverse side. If all the steps are clearly visible, unbroken, and sharply defined, the coin is eligible for a full steps grade, one of the rarest and most valuable forms of Jefferson nickels. Now, here's how you can check your 1943 Jefferson nickel. Flip it over and look above Monticello. You should see a big P, Philadelphia, D, Denver, or S, San Francisco. If it's there, and the coin looks unusually bright or silvery, you've got a wartime nickel. Next, check the condition. Look for sharp detail, especially in Jefferson's hair and Monticello's steps. The sharper, the better. Use a magnifying glass to spot any doubling, cracks, or errors. And if something seems off, or unusually perfect, it might be time to send the coin to a professional grading service like NGC or PCGS. Graded coins don't just get a number. They get verified, protected, and documented, which can drastically increase their value. So, how valuable can these coins really get? Well, not long ago, a stunning example of a 1943 Jefferson nickel shocked the coin collecting world. It had a visible mint mark, an extremely rare minting error, and was preserved in flawless, untouched mint state condition, with a full steps designation. Once graded and authenticated, it went to auction, where collectors and investors went head to head, knowing they were looking at something truly special. And when the final bid was placed, the price paid for that 5-cent coin was an unbelievable $112,400. Yes, you heard that right. A nickel, minted in 1943. Sold for $112,400. So the next time you're digging through your change jar, flipping through old coins, or visiting a flea market, don't ignore that dull-looking Jefferson nickel. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Look for shine, detail, and character, because hidden in plain sight, among the most ordinary coins, might be your own extraordinary discovery. Today, we're turning our attention to a coin you probably have seen countless times, the Jefferson nickel. But not just any nickel, the 1971 Jefferson nickel with a mint mark. At first glance, a 1971 nickel might seem like just everyday change. But hang tight, because some of these coins have hidden secrets that make them stand out from the crowd. If you're holding one, or even if you just find one while digging through an old coin collection, you're going to want to hear this story. So, what makes the 1971 Jefferson nickel special? What about the mint mark? And just how much could this coin be worth today? Stick around to the end because the value might just blow your mind. Let's start with some context. The year 1971 was a fascinating time in American history. The Vietnam War was ongoing, the world was feeling the tremors of change socially and politically, and in the coin world, the Jefferson nickel had been a staple since 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin honors Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and features his Monticello home on the reverse side. Unlike many coins, Jefferson nickels have carried subtle design shifts and variations throughout their history, and 1971 is no exception. Here's something to know: mint marks are small letters on coins that tell you where the coin was produced. For the 1971 Jefferson nickel, you could see a D for Denver or no mint mark at all, which indicates the Philadelphia Mint. Mint marks might seem like small details, but they can be the key to identifying rare varieties or errors, some of which can turn an ordinary coin into a prized collector's piece. The 1971 Jefferson nickel's metal composition was the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel. However, within the millions minted that year, some rare variants emerged, those with slight design anomalies or production errors. Collectors actively hunt for these coins because they stand out among the sea of regular issues. One example is the double die variety, an error that causes some letters or numbers on the coin to appear doubled. This happens when the coin die is struck twice during production but shifts slightly. Another sought-after feature is full steps on Monticello's steps. This is a term for when all the horizontal steps on the building's image appear fully struck and crisp. Coins with these characteristics command premium prices. Now, condition plays a massive role in a coin's value. While you may find worn nickels in your change, those heavily circulated coins are usually worth only their face value or slightly more. The real treasures are those in mint state, meaning the coin shows no signs of wear, with sharp details and the original luster still intact. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with anything above 60 considered uncirculated and collectible. A 1971 nickel in perfect or near-perfect condition, especially if it has an error or a full steps designation, becomes highly valuable. There's also something very rare and exciting that some 1971 nickels possess: repunched mint marks. This happens when the mint mark, like the D, was stamped more than once in slightly different spots. These repunched mint marks are prized because they are errors that make the coin unique. Such minting quirks turn an otherwise everyday coin into a must-have for collectors and can drastically increase its value. Alright, so what happens when you combine rarity, perfect condition, and minting errors on a 1971 Jefferson nickel? Recently, a stunning example emerged from a private collection. A 1971 nickel with a clear mint mark, a sharp full steps reverse, and a rare error that made it one of the most sought-after pieces of that year. When it hit auction, coin collectors, investors, and enthusiasts fought fiercely for the chance to own this small but extraordinary piece of history. The bidding was fierce, and the final price shattered expectations. That rare 1971 Jefferson nickel sold for an incredible $102,700. That's right, over $100,000 for a single 5-cent coin from 1971. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest items can hold the biggest surprises. So next time you come across a Jefferson nickel, especially one from 1971 with a mint mark, take a closer look. You might just be holding something extraordinary. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to learn more about rare coins and hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an exciting discovery. Thanks for watching, happy hunting, and remember, the next treasure could be just a coin flip away.